Welcome once again to the Logan City Lanes in Brisbane, Queensland for the 1989 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. This should be a great encounter between two locals, Mark Ramsay and Carl Bottomley, both of Brisbane. And this really is an exciting match. A left-hander up against a right-hander, always a classic encounter. And Mark Ramsay has elected to bowl first from lane 11. He called it there. He wanted it to break a bit. It didn't break as much as he thought it would.
No, he was hoping for that ball to get up there, but it didn't come back. Just hung out that too far. You'll see it here. Goes out. Just didn't come back. A little bit fortunate, didn't dive in and leave a washout. Here we see it again. Ball goes out. Doesn't grip the line. Goes straight through.
Yeah, nicely done. Closes the frame. A good start from Ramsay. Up next is young Carl Bottomley. He's from Bulimba in Brisbane, a student. He's played in one Coke before. He's a full-time Australian representative. In 1988, the World Youth Masters, the Queensland Open, the South Coast Open, and the 89 Asian Youth Masters. Oh, there's a bit of luck going his way, Terry, but it's a good start.
Yes, it's a great start of the game, Carl. You'll see here, throws the ball right out, lifts it a lot, gets the ball to come back, and that pin just rolling over and taking it out. You'll see on the action cam, the pin rolling across, the other pin hitting it and knocking it over, giving him the strike. A good shot and a good start to Carl because he needs to get away quick.
High game of 289 for young Carl. High series 768 in the seedings tournament. Average of 199, a high game of 226. He seeded 17th. Up. Called that one. Oh, gee. A bit of luck with the youngster. That's a double straight up. And, of course, the perfect game of 300. That's 12 strikes in a row. We'll get the bowler a new Holden Nova SLE sedan. Compliments of Motorama Holden in Springwood in Queensland. And Carl Bottomley, he is happy there. Takes time out, has a drink, bit of a chuckle with his opponent. They obviously have bowled with each other quite often, and good mates.
Well, they bowl on the Goldpin circuit up here throughout Queensland.
Mark Ramsay from Waverley. He's the 89 Queensland team. He won the Sun City Open, Queensland Open, the Cool Foam Classic this year. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. He hasn't found his mark at all yet. Had a lot of trouble at practice on lane 12.
Yeah, well, as I said, on the first shot, he was lucky not to leave it. You'll see here the ball does exactly the same thing, except it just jumps a little bit more at the end, cutting the heart out of the pin. He gets 5. And now he's got a real tough spare. You can see here, the ball just goes straight through. Nothing touches anything. That pin rocking at the back, but by all standards, he's got a very tough spare here and a tough start.
Seated 8th is Mark Ramsay. Let's see what he can do here. No, he didn't like it from the start. That's an open frame. He wouldn't like that.
No, he wouldn't like that at all. He changed to a straighter ball and the ball didn't break. Mark's got a little bit of problem here. You'll see it here. It just goes along. Doesn't hook anywhere near as much as the first ball, and just takes 3. No good. He's looking a little bit in trouble. They're both the same players. Carl and Mark have to get away to good starts, and they're both confidence players. They must get strikes.
The council foreman from Wavell Heights in Brisbane, 28 years of age. Needs a strike here on lane 11. Still has not found the mark, Terry. Disappointing.
He's throwing the ball in exactly the same place on all 3 shots. Now, as I said, if he gets lined up, he's dangerous. But when you're doing this, it just puts too much pressure on yourself. Carl got away with the breaks because he's had 2 light shots. You'll see there. Mark's just a little confused now. He's made a move. Nothing happened.
Tough split. What does he do here? Go for the 3 or take 2 out?
No, he has to go for this. This isn't that difficult. He's just got to run the ball across, put the 1 into the 7 and pick it up. Oh, geez, that was terribly unlucky. He adjusted for the spare and the pin just didn't jump out and get at it.
So that's the 2nd frame in a row that's open for Mark Ramsay.
Yes, you'll see the ball here. Takes off at the end, jumps a real lot at the back end. The pin just not getting up to get at it.
There it is, the action. Action seems okay, but can't find the mark. This is Carl Bottomley on lane 12.
This is what I mean, Chris. These guys are just get up there and throw it. They just really aren't aiming at much. lift the ball. Their priority is to give the ball as much as they can, and when they miss, boy, do they miss.
Concentration now. See what the youngster does.
Bounce.
He wanted a bounce, didn't quite get it.
Well, that Chris is that spare Chris is pretty impossible. So all he wanted to do was kick it off the back.
Well, at the moment, we're 3 frames down. Carl Bottomley is doing it easy. 24 pins in front of Mark Ramsay. Bonus prize of this year's Coca-Cola Classic for the bowler of a perfect 300 game is a Holden Nova SLE valued at $20,000 from Motorama Holden, Springwood in Queensland. Welcome back to the Coca-Cola Classic for 1989, of course brought to you by Goldpin. They were formed 6 years ago. They're a marketing branch for all the Goldpin centres. They're doing a great job in this tournament. The sponsors, Lennon's, Coca-Cola and Qantas. This is Carl Bottomley.
Better.
You heard it. He called it. That was a lot better.
Chris, that's a shot Carl likes to play. He likes to splash the pins around. It looks exciting. It pumps him up, and that's what he wants to do. You'll see here, he gets down, he lifts the ball as hard as he can. He's moved in, he's tightened the shot up a little, got it back, 10 in the pit. He's happy with that. But Carl's a very good player.
We look at Carl there. During the seedings tournament, he only had a high game of 226. Mark Ramsay had a 268, but the pressure is right on the left-hander at the moment. Let's see what he can do. No, yet to taste a strike after 4 frames, so a lot of work ahead here for Mark Ramsay.
Well, 4 frames have gone by. He hasn't hit the head pin yet, hardly. You know, he's in a lot of trouble. He's changed to another ball. He moved in a little, slowed it up a little, but it didn't work. And he's a little lost. We'll see here the ball just clips the pins, hits the head pin very light. Probably a little unlucky he didn't carry the 3 like Carl did before.
Oh, and almost got a bit too much turn there. He looked at it and he thought, oh dear. But he safely collected the pin.
Yes, you'll see. He probably expected the ball to jump away. But he's been one of the first left-handers to play. There's only been one other left-hander. And there's a bit of carry down on the right-hand side. So it's not going to jump nearly as much. But he needs to start striking now. All he needs to do is get the first one in.
Oh, he didn't like that either. Gee whiz.
Well, that's what we commonly know as cut the heart out of it. He has just taken the 2 pins straight out. He's got 5. And not a good leave at all. Like, that just looks a mess. You see it here. It just cuts the pin out. Doesn't take the 4 pin out. And now he's got to go for 5 pins. He's just got it out too wide. He's waiting for it to come back, and it comes back too late. The ball's just going a little too long.
Takes 2 more out, but it's all academic at the moment. He can't believe the luck. Crowd trying to give him a bit of encouragement. What do you do in this case if you're Carl Bottomley? Think about your game, forget about your opponent.
Right now, all Carl will be thinking about is ripping the next shot. You see Mark here, he's gone for the wrong side of it. He tried to put the ball between it, and you don't. You go the other way. But Carl here, he'll be wanting to double. You know, he knows Mark's not going well.
Get up.
Called it. You heard the pop as his fingers released out of the ball. He called it, get up there, and it certainly did.
That's the way Carl plays. You know, Carl just gets out there and really humps the ball up. If the opponent's not going well, he knows that. He knows that if he can get one more strike, he's going to put the pressure on it. You'll see here in the pin cam, but just the soft 10 again, which is a characteristic of the big hooking shot. Carl now taking a bit more time. You know, but Carl's a very, very good player. You know, he's won the Youth Masters the last 2 times over in Asia, and he's quite a confident player. He's had a great start to the seniors.
Yeah, he liked it. Got down on all 4s. Called that one home. That's a turkey for Carl Bottomley.
That's exactly what he wanted. You'll see it here. Again, gets it out. He's tightened it up a little bit more, throws it a little bit harder, and he likes it. He says, that's the one I want. That's a great shot.
Carl's looking at a 266 if he strikes out. Mark Ramsay, 204. So he really has to start now. Let's see what he can do deep in concentration. Lane 12. Still hasn't got a strike on the board. We're in the 6th frame. What can he do here?
Well, I really think he's got to tighten the shot up. He's got to move left, and he's just got to play the ball more direct. Yeah, he's moved in there. He's moved in the 10 board. He's got off 5 board, and he still can't bring the ball back. He's just confused. As I said, he's a confidence player. This sparing is going to make it very difficult. He's open 3 frames. He's got to pick this up.
Took the one in front, couldn't get the one behind. A very disappointed Mark Ramsay.
Yes, you'll see here you've got the sleeper behind, so you've got to get the ball to go out and run into the pins. Here the ball's just hit the front and just flips away because it's going that way, and he didn't like that at all.
6 frames down, and Mark Ramsay in big trouble. He's 53 pins behind Carl Bottomley.
Bowling ball itself. They are all the same diameter, but vary considerably in weight. For example, most of the players in this program will use 15 to 16 pound balls. However, bowling balls range in weight from 6 to 16 pound, so that all players will have a weight to suit them.
The 1989 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic looking for an upset here. Mark Ramsay shakes his head. He can't do anything right at the moment, and he is the tournament's 8th seed, and he is in heaps of diabolicals against Carl Bottomley. At the moment, Mark Ramsay shooting a 183 if he strikes out. Carl Bottomley looking at a 266. Mark Ramsay really has to get his game together. Of course, he won the Cool Foam Classic here not so long ago, and he was unstoppable in that match, but nothing going right for him here.
No, nothing at all is going right. That's ball number 3 he's pulled out to try and use, and it still didn't come back. It still hasn't got back to the head pin. But you're right, Chris, in the Cool Foam, he was absolutely unstoppable. He averaging nearly 250 for the last 8 games and really blowing it away, shooting 250 to 240 in the step ladder, won it in fine style.
Still can't close that frame. Maybe this is an ominous sign for all the left-handers here.
Yes, well, they haven't won a match yet, which is not looking good. But here you'll see Mark just slows the ball up. He knows it's gone. Knows it's going to take off. You know, when you have to spare this many spares, it's no good.
Carl Bottomley, the familiar sound. As the ball pops out of the fingers. He's got another strike. He's put 4 in a row together and looking good.
Yeah, Carl will be unstoppable now. It wouldn't surprise me to see him just punch out. He's settled down now. He's stopped trying to throw the ball, and he's just settled down to making good shots. You'll see here the ball goes high. Pin comes off the side ball, trips the 7 pin. That's a good shot.
Seems to have a lot of power and a lot of strength in his shots.
He does. He gets way down. He gets right down at the approach. He's got a lot of leverage. He lifts up at the line, and he throws it. He really is an example of the modern game. You'll see him and top seed Andrew Drew bowl the same way.
Gave himself every opportunity again. As Terry Winban called it, familiar sight.
As I said, he's just liable to strike out, but as you'll notice now with his game, he's not trying to throw the ball. He's just bowling the ball now more. He's lifting it just as hard, but he's bowling the ball better. He's more composed, and he's feeling better. He knows he's won the game, but he's just getting used to it out there. It wouldn't surprise me to see him go all the way and win this tournament.
Well, it's a brave prediction. This is a brave man. He's got to fight it out to the wire.
Here's it going to turn. Here's it going to turn.
A bit of luck there finally for Mark Ramsay. The crowd getting behind him. He's one of the favourites, the Cool Foam winner here. And at last he gets a strike on the board.
Mark's had an excellent end of 89. He's won 2 tournaments. He's picked up a lot of dollars, and he's a good player. And he just can't believe it. You'll see it here. The ball goes high, pin off the deck, off the sidewall, trips out the 6. Mark at this stage just can't believe it. He just wants to get some strikes.
Turn.
Called it again. He wanted it to turn. It's not turning. He looks around in vain, trying to find an answer.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of the players today that play the game, because we're short oiling, you've got big back ends, and people sort of lose the technique of turning the ball. And then when they try to turn the ball, the more you try to turn it, the less it turns.
There's the grip. He's not taking much time between deliveries. And it's showing in his bowling, I think. He's tossed the towel in.
He's tossed it in. He'll, you know, may not break 100. But Mark's a fighter. You know, he'll still hang in there. As I say, he's a good player. But here we'll see Carl. Carl can strike out, shoot 266, shoot a good game. That'll lift his confidence right up.
Yeah, and again, can't do a thing wrong at the moment, young Carl Bottomley.
No, he can't. Now, you'll see here, he just gets the ball. He's playing really, really well now. He knows he's airing the ball, and he's happy. He's getting all the breaks. We'll see it here. The pin comes off there, just tips the 10 pin. It's commonly called the soft 10.
They all count. Carl Bottomley with another strike. He leads by 108 pins with 1 frame to go. Carl Bottomley on a hot streak here in round 1 of the 1989 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. He has got a bag full of strikes, and he's looking to strike out and finish with a 266, which would be a great bonus for his average coming into round 2 and perhaps even the step ladder.
Yes, these are all important pins, and he really wants to go all the way and look great.
Get up. Yeah, he called it. Get up there. Terry, I'm amazed at that sound, that pop. What is that actually happening there?
Actually, he's popping his thumb. What it is, he's got his thumb packed up tight, and he's really throwing the ball as hard as he can and lifting it at the same time. The pop is, there's no air in the thumb hole. He's got his thumb packed that tight, and the pop's the thumb coming out of the ball, and then he lifts through the ball.
I think he'd be happy to hear the pop and then the rattle as all the pins fall
He
back.
certainly would, because all he wants to do is get 10 right now. He wants to inflict some pain here.
There it is again. What a great roll here from Carl Bottomley. And he is on a hot streak here at the moment.
Well, he shot 260. He's going to win by a massive amount. This is an absolute slaughter. But on the same token, Mark can't be disgraced. He's there. A lot of people say, hey, I can shoot this score too. But he's...
There he is. And Carl Bottomley. Oh, finishes with another strike. What's that? 10 in a row. Fantastic finish for Carl Bottomley. He winds up with a 266. And a great performance from the youngster from Bottomley in Queensland. Mark Ramsay, though, has to finish off his 10th frame. I don't think he'll take too much time as we watch Carl Bottomley.
Yeah, Mark will just really go through the motions. This is a great shot again at Carl's. He's pumped up. Mark's just going to go through the motions and get the heck out of here.
Yep, he threw that first one very, very quickly. Got 9. And the second one, they've got hardly time to rack them up. Goes through, spares out in the 10th. He'll get a bonus ball, but it's all academic. So that's the youngster there that's through to the second round, Carl Bottomley. This is Mark Ramsay.
Well, Mark's probably thinking about the massive amount of dollars he's won the last couple of months, so... But that just goes to show he's just got no luck.
A disappointing finish there for Mark Ramsay. And he gets his ball. He's about to pack up and go home. He was beaten 117 to 266, the end for Mark Ramsay. But Carl Bottomley is through to the second round of the 1989 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic.